Alright guys, we just came back from the Kissimmee Regionals and whoa, look who's a new team member.
Who's that? Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you played, how you did?
Yeah, sure. I am Ryan Fletcher. I came off of a nice bubbling of Kissimmee Regional, and I feel like every 4 events I just last went to, so it's great. I played Black Dragon BA, as most of you know I play, so no surprises here. Not much has changed, except maybe like 1 or 2 cards, which the decision process was literally a die roll, and because I don't really care about getting my invite. This is invite number 5 so far, and then top 8 was just what I was after, so just kind of messing around. But without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Yeah. So not much, like I said, has changed. 1 tour guide. It's one of my favorite starters in the whole entire deck. I mentioned this numerous times before in previous deck profiles, where if I summon this and make it look like it'll be impactful, they'll naturally just respond and hand trap it. And that's 1 hand trap out of the way. They only have 5 cards, so many hand traps they can use. Obviously, the Ash is once per turn. So if the Ash is gone, then you have so much things less to worry about. And it's even better if you're pairing it I never opened this, but I have in the past. Like if you're able to open Tour Guide Sekkas, you obviously summon the Tour Guide first, because the Sekkas can get you so much further distance, just because obviously having more cards gives you more opportunity to make plays. So I always, anytime I have the ability to go into my deck and extend my plays further than what Sekkas could do, I do that first just to get certain key cards out, then I Sekkas. So Sekkas is always just kind of like that last bit of part of the play. But then the targets for Tour Guide is typically in the form of Rhino Warrior. I still just play 2 because I don't want to have way too many normal summons, and having this many normal summons, I do play other cards that are really impactful in normal summoning, but having just that, I feel like 2 is a perfect number. And the fact that it can just be summoned off Tour Guide, link it away for your Cherubini, immediately trigger, send the Graph, special summons here, send the Sabers, just makes it so strong. And then, once again, nothing's changed. 4 Burning Abyss, the 2 best ones, the 1 lackluster one, and the 1 I always hate drawing and want to cut, but I still play it just because I'm fearful of opening any of these 3 and not being able to summon them, or even possibly the Edge Sabers. So not much has changed. The Burning Abyss engine is still really strong in my opinion, just because when you link it away for Saryuja, your Dante is essentially allowing you a free draw, whereas your Seer is allowing you an extra link fodder and potentially another draw later for your next Saryuja. Yeah, so that's the main part of the BAs. And then, like I said, the Edge Saber is still really strong like that. I cut Sulkius a while ago and never really looked back. There were times when the Maui came off the list. I thought about going back to it, but it never really came back, so that's gone for good, I guess. And then 3 Mathematicians. Shout out Joe Yen for my foreign mathematicians. Thank you so much. And then the 1 O-Lion. A lot of people talk about this deck list where it's you obviously can play Scrapper Cycler, but when you think about what Scrapper Cycler does versus Mathematician, you're really just harping on this play right here. And this Mathematician sending this is obviously really good because it's 1 card Cherubini, but that's obviously not the main purpose of Mathematician. Mathematician can do so much more. Mathematician can send your Glow Up Bulb, can send your Giant Rex, and send infinite amount of cards in your deck because most of them are level 3s. So it's just really strong. So I understand that this can't activate its effect on special summon like Scrapper Cycler could, but it's still just so much more impactful because I have been Dimension Shifter before, and then I'll just be like, okay, summon Mathematician, they change Dimension Shifter, and I send Giant Rex or Dotscaper. Whereas a Scrapper Cycler would automatically be banishing a key card, maybe even another Scrapper Cycler. So I mean, Dimension Shifter is honestly very difficult to play through, but at least Mathematician makes it a little bit easier, and I'm guaranteed maybe a turn of survival. Because if I send the Giant Rex and I kill the Giant Rex again on their turn, it'll just get to special summon itself again. But Mathematician is still really strong, one of my favorite normal summons in the deck. I'd rather it be Tour Guide, but Tour Guide is that one. Moving on, Gallus. So Gallus is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I've talked about this in older profiles where it serves at least 5 purposes. It's an Earth monster. It's a level 3 for your extending plays. It's a different typing for Curious. It has a free special summon effect, or unless you're like me at the regionals, then it has a free destruction effect. And then it also has a burn damage just to extend the game or possibly even go into time, which I found myself, I think I had 1 match where my game 3 essentially started in time and I opened up Gallus and then just comboed. So, I mean, the card's incredible, and I'm still obviously a huge fan of it, even though I mill Sekkas late, it's my career choice. Psychic Wielder and Tracker, not much to say about these guys. They are once per turn, so that's why I only play 1 of each. Yeah, they're just good level 3 extenders. They're Earths, so it's even better. It's even better too when you go something like Math Man, and then you just kind of laugh at your opponent when they hand trap it, and you just summon Tracker or Wielder. Same with Tour Guide. It's funny. There's just so many ways to bait out hand traps in this deck that just make it really funny when you see your opponent react to the incorrect stuff. Gigantus and Fossil Dyna, then obviously the 3 Block Dragons still. It's kind of unfair when you hear kind of dumb opinions online where it's like, oh, I'm going to play 2 Block Dragons because I can search a third one, or I can search one with the Gallant Granite guy. It's kind of unfair when you bring up those kind of like faulty opinions because like onlookers obviously think those are faulty and incorrect. Like, why would you not want to see this card? Why would you not want to max out? This card's absurd. I love seeing it. Anytime I see it, I feel like I'm in a winning position. Anytime I don't, I feel like I'm just struggling to play. And then people also, I really came down hard in my last profile talking about Rock Spirit. You literally have to be like a complete idiot to play Rock Spirit, in my opinion. If you're trying to really max out on your numbers, then I guess play Rock Spirit if 3 Gigantus is enough, but I'd rather play like Revival Golem at that point. Gigantus is absurd and much better than Rock Spirit in almost all conceivable situations, and then I play 3 just so I can have 4 targets at all times for the Block Dragon search, because obviously you want to be searching these 2, not just, searching 1 Block Dragon, because all your targets are banished or milled, which you will be doing a lot of banishing and milling in this deck. And then moving forward, 2 of each good danger. I've seen people cutting this card. Nessie's still really strong in the sense that if they are to hit it, you deck thin, and then you search the Jackalope, and even if they hit the Jackalope in that situation, which kudos to them for being that good at hitting dangers, you special summon the Snake. So you just deck thin like 2 cards, which is really strong in getting you to your certain combo pieces. But not much to say. The dangers are always going to be absurd. They're just free draws, free extenders, free cards in the graveyard. So still really strong. Unfortunately, I did cut the Damage Juggler and Trick Clowns, which was the biggest mistake of this deck I've ever made, and I missed them the whole entire day. So that's definitely something I will be going back to. Cards I put in its place are cards that were just performing horrible for me all day. The only time I ever opened up this card, I go to special, my opponent looks at me, I look back at him, I say, no effect, and then special on the Takaton board. So, like, I definitely was hit by variance this whole entire tournament. I remember some of my statistics were, like, I won 8 out of 9 die rolls, but I lost 7 out of 8 game ones that I went first. My hands were abysmal all day long, and I am honestly surprised that I got 15th at this regional, drawing as poorly as I did. It was just absolutely horrible, but I'd rather have, like, the Damage Juggler to be able to search this card, so... I mean, Hat Tricker not being able to search it was, like, okay, but I'd rather obviously search it. And then, like, some of the best cards in the deck, in my opinion, cards that are useful when being milled, like Dot Scaper is still one of my favorites. Special Summon Officer Yuja, make your Curious with it, automatically block the Curious by making this Chain Link 2 and Curious Chain Link 1. Like, you literally just got double value out of this card. And it's so great. Then the same idea kind of follows with Giant Rex. You're not chain blocking, but at the same time, you're specialing it off your first Saryuja, so it became fodder. Then the next time you summon it, it can become useful for making Nappies. And then Nappies is just free wins. So there's not really much to say about that. And Glow Up Bulb should maybe be banned. I don't know. The card's really good. So, I mean, even if another card took its place like Recover, you could essentially just make a Levier and banish the Recover, even if your opponent doesn't have like an extra deck, so you're kind of locked out there. But you can just banish the Recover, bring it back with Levier, and still make your Nappies. So there's other avenues to go about because it is an Earth. You can banish off Block Dragon, but yeah. And then last 3 cards. Sea Archiver, this was like I think 1 Phantasme, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put this card in, and it's so-so. I've always thought this card is really lackluster. It's nice when you have it, it's nice when you mill it, but it's nothing guaranteed. Destrudo is still one of my favorite cards. I've honestly thought about bringing this up again just because I really like seeing it. And Gizmek, he's just in here because I really want a way to make the Dingirsu, and then also it's another way to make the BLS, which is really good. BLS really guarantees you a lot of matchups, but the Gizmek is mainly like in there just because of like the Dingirsu. If you can't make Avermax, you can make Dingirsu, which Dingirsu and Avermax are functionally the same. So that concludes the main deck. 42 cards for the regional, and I usually stuck around 43 when I played, but that's definitely going back to 43 because of the clowns. But some of the cards, like I said, nothing really changed in here from the last deck profile I had. These are like the only BA cards. Obviously Beatrice not BA, but you know, It's BA.
She's on rare.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of the best features of Beatrice was that it's not a Burning Abyss card, because like there were so many times when I used to play, I would send like I would send like a Seer to the graveyard to revive Farfa, and then Farfa would kill itself, so I could still be able to banish something and interact. But Cherubini, absurd. Dante, absurd. Then let's go into the links. Cerberus and Phoenix. I don't play IP, and I don't think I need to play IP. My deck is certainly different, and it's not anything like Orcus or anything like that. So these cards are obviously still really strong. Like, I made a Curious before having to make this, and then go from there. I remember one time my hand was so abysmal that I believe I went summoned a Nessie, then normal summoned a Dotscaper, made a Cerberus, banished the Dotscaper with Gigantus because I had 2 in hands, and then made a Curious with Dotscaper, Cerberus, and Gigantus, and started playing that way. Like, my hand was so abysmal that I had to start the plays that way. And don't worry, I lost that game. But it was across the board bad. Then Curious, like I said, this card's great. You send anything you need, it mills immediately, giving more food for Block Dragon, possibly more triggers for your graveyard effects. BLS, shout out Phoebo still for letting me borrow his. This card's absolutely absurd. Like, in the striker matchup, this card like guarantees you a win. 2-star Yuja. I wish I could play 3, but I guess 2's still enough nowadays. A lot of people kind of get lost in translation where, like, I'm not really trying to fix my hand with both of these. Your first star Yuja is typically used to fix your hand. The second one is used to summon the Fossil Dino, or summon anything to help make your Aver Max and like facilitate your plays to make a Leviair and get that Fossil Dino back. But mainly this one's used to summon the Fossil Dino. And then Boral Sword, I think I summoned it once, but it's in there permanently. Appaloosa, I don't like losing to Nibiru. Avermax is obviously the man, and he makes the combos that much better just because I can end on either of these cards and it'll protect the Fossil Diner and Nappies. Like I said, Nappies. And then Leviair, a great card. You can get back any of the fodder I banished and everything like that, so it's really nice if you mill your Fossil Dino, or even sometimes I'll force this play just because I want to keep going, so I'll make this, even though I very well could have summoned it off of Saryuja, but I'll make that just to make it. And then, yep, side deck. Sorry, I've been rambling and talking about a bunch of nonsense.
That all makes sense.
Yeah. There's so much dedicated thought for this deck, and it feels so nice that I get to explain it all, because I've been working on this deck for months.
For sure.
So it's kind of cool getting, I guess, a glimpse into my head and everything like that. But
yeah, it's not like every deck profile, or like some deck profiles like this is the standard, this is the, of course this is what everyone plays, this is why I made this decision, and for sure you gotta explain it.
There's been a lot of the people who come out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, listen, like, you did amazing on this deck profile, like, you kind of set the standard, the precedence for how like at least 30 of the cards in Block Dragon BA are played. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice to hear, thanks. And then other people just take the deck list and they change one card and then they say it's theirs. So, there's the other side of the coin there. But Pankratops, I put this card back in just because how Orcus Fields have been playing out. And, them just having the IP and stuff like that just make this card so much better. Just so I can really out the Babel as fast as I can. Just outing the Babel, just it makes them shotgun everything. So they're really just sitting there just like on their ass as they try and have just like an IP play left. And then this card is also really strong against Salamangreat, which also had Resurgence. And like the same logic with this card, Humongous. Both of these are Earth, by the way, so it's even better for Block Dragon. But it's just like you just slap this down on their IP or whatever the monster they summon. If you think they're going to go for a Bomber, then you hold it, make some plays, let them nuke your field, and slap that down on the Bomber and keep playing. It's still just like an absurd card, in my opinion. Danko, that probably could have been something else, but we were testing hands the night before, and there were a lot of times where I'd open up the Danko and still have a playable hand, so I just said, screw it, I don't have evenly, so I'll just play Danko. Lancia, this is by far one of the best cards in the format for side decking right now. Shout out to my round 9 opponent where I activate Gizmek and banished all 3 of these. That was awesome. And it wasn't even like one Lancia at the beginning, one Lancia at the middle, and one Lancia at the end. They were all 3 right back to back. So great shuffling on my end, I guess. 2 Dark Rule no more. Shout out to Nick Ortiz. He convinced me to play this the night before. He was like, oh yeah, you'll probably play 2 Thunder. I played exactly 2 Thunder. And like, it was so strong against it. I mean, technically I played 2 Thunder and 1 combo Thunder. but like I side this in against my round 8 opponent, and he mistakenly, I don't know, I guess he just wasn't thinking. So like he told me after the match he activated the hawk effect to shuffle cards back, and he shuffled back in impure order. Yeah, and then like I just activated this on him, and then proceeded to win the game. And then my, I think it was round 6 or 7 opponent, I activated this on his field, then just start comboing from there. So the card's absolutely absurd if you see it. And then triple twin twister. I didn't play against anything stun all day long, so this card never came in. And then same thing with Imperial Order. Like I heard people talking about, oh yeah, they see some Sky Striker players, and I'm like, oh, can I please play those decks? Like Sky Striker is the freest matchup. But yeah, that completes the deck.
Awesome. Any shout outs that we mentioned?
I mean, Team Oblivion, best team in Tampa, yeah, no big deal. You know, I appreciate, I reached out to Raul, and he was like, yeah, no, for sure, we'll ask, and I was always hesitant about joining the team or anything like that, but it just kind of made logical sense, because I've been playing at this card shop for God knows how long now. I've been playing with the people in this card shop for God knows how long, so I've seen a lot of formats, I've seen a lot of players come in and out, so it just kind of made sense just to just go along with it. But yeah, no. Shout out to the other new team members, Sebastian, Todd. Obviously, shout out to all the other team members in Team Oblivion. So thanks for welcoming me to the family, even though I was already technically part of it. But yeah, no worries.
Welcome, Ryan. Catch you guys next time.
Yep.